Hello, hello. Dan and Brian here.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing well here in Connecticut, Brian. How's everyone doing in Florida?
It's sunny and getting hot.
It's getting hot in here. All right. Speaking of getting hot in here, today we're going to talk about folks who receive long-term incentive compensation. Brian, can you add some color to what is long-term incentive compensation?
Sure. It's really an alphabet soup. I mean, long-term incentive comp, or better known as LTI, ranges from everything from your traditional stock options to restricted stocks, RSUs, to SARs, stock appreciation rights, all the way to non-qualified deferred comp and everything in between.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it is a quite a distinction of different alphabet soup, as you said, in how these things work. Part of the reason we're doing this today is in April is often when this long-term incentive compensation vests or lapses and new grants are put out. It also is after April 15th, and there's a whole tax element to receiving long-term incentive compensation that is typically overlooked. Folks who are receiving this long-term compensation, again, are often quite busy like everybody else and don't have the time. And then they find out come April that they didn't have enough withheld. April also is usually the time when these same folks receive their bonuses from the prior year. So a bunch of stuff comes in, and we're already over a quarter of the year done. Brian, can you tell us a little about how tax out helps manage long-term incentive compensation, not only how to maximize it, but how to make sure that the tax piece of it is in line with the folks' tax plan?
Sure. I'll give you an example. We have a client at a publicly traded company who decided he was going to leave. And his negotiation was, well, if you leave, you give us 6 months notice, we'll vest all your RSUs. So last year, when everything got exercised, it's the middle of the year, which a lot of people tend to do. And what ends up happening? Well, they withhold a flat 28% on your LTI. The issue is the salary that you made the first 6 months is usually not. And because his withholding was way off, they only withheld at about a 18 to 19% rate. Well, his wife also works, and he received an end of the year bonus. So the average tax bracket for him, his effective rate was 33%. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do the math that they only withheld about 22%. His effective rate was 33%. So they under withheld by 11%. And this is somebody who made 7 figures. So a large tax bill due April 15th. What did we do? We knew about this time last year. We did the planning. We did the end of the year tax planning, made sure we withheld enough in income taxes to avoid any penalties and interest, and then calculated pretty much within a few $1,000s what he would owe on April 15th. So when we exercised, we held enough money back on the side to pay all those taxes. And that's the most important thing that people really have to understand with LTI is it's a standard 28%, but most of our clients that receive it, their effective rates are 30, 33. And once the Trump tax law goes away at the end of 2025, a lot of effective rates are going to go back to 35 to 37 to 39%. So got to be careful. This is a great time of the year to look at all what you're doing for tax out.
Excellent, Brian. Excellent. One of the other things that we see, not on the tax piece, tax tail doesn't wag the dog, is folks who get their stock awards and then they lapse on a certain day, and now you're holding a big chunk, often 6 figures, of company stock. And the conversation becomes, well, it hasn't done that well. It's going to do better. And a colleague of ours who I've chatted with about this, and we've been saying this, he says a little more eloquently, immediately sell vested restricted stock units, then hope you're wrong. Challenging for people to hold a competing system and belief simultaneously, but this is how to manage that your human capital and financial capital are both tied to a single company. Right. You are defending against an outcome that your own company's stock does poorly, and they announce layoffs or worsening career opportunities. So the next question then, Brian, is so they sell everything, even though we're hoping, as we said, that you're wrong, that you sell and the stock goes up. Again, you have another tranche. And sometimes we have people that in December also pop up, or next year's, and your bonus could be predicated upon the company doing well. What then should someone do with the proceeds?
And that's a good question. I mean, it's the old adage. I mean, you wouldn't put all your investments in one stock, Apple, and hope that it goes all the way up. So that's why you do the selling of the asset and then diversify. I mean, that's the biggest thing is if you are working for a company that's maybe a small or mid cap company, maybe buy some large cap. Or if you're working for a large cap company, may position yourself more in small mid cap, or buy some bonds, individual bonds, or some alternate investments. It depends on, Dan, the plan that you want to accomplish long term. And I think that's the key with our tax out solutions is that when you sell the assets, you have a place to put them because it should be in your plan.
Right. I think, and I know we're getting up against the clock. I can see the producer waving at me, but I'm going to go a little extra time today. That one of the things we talk about is the plan forms the investments. We see a lot of folks who either haphazardly collect investments through time, or you get a financial plan. The former feels right in the moment. You know what? You call up somebody and you see NVIDIA and you see the Magnificent Seven going crazy, and you look at your thing and you don't have any of that. So it feels right in the moment, but bonkers when you zoom out. The latter feels foreign until you do it, then you wish you'd done it sooner. So when someone who's a tax out subscriber, we don't guess. We look at their investment policy, and wherever they're underweighted at that moment, they're buying low, not adding at higher prices. That's what dictates it. Could you sum up and let folks know that, again, long-term incentive compensation, stocks, asset allocation, where does tax out fit in with that, Brian?
Well, it fits in perfectly because it's really goes back to our original formula, which is your taxes affect everything you do, and everything you do affects your taxes. Now that you know what your 2023 taxes are, now is the time to review how do we save for the 2024 and put that plan in place. Take the tax strategy, take the LTIs, put them all together, and have an effective strategy for 2024 and beyond.
To infinity and beyond. Well, Brian, it's great chatting. Here, folks at WMGNA Tax Out Financial Solutions, we figure it out for you.